Kia ora and talofa geniuses, Jess Lilo Smith here in the digital whare for another round of Abj Sports Opinions. The Warriors took a tough one on the chin over the weekend, and the Chiefs came through strong against the Moana Pasifika, and with the Super Rugby ladders getting pretty tight, so it was a bit emotional for me. But we're going to get into some of those highs and the heartbreaks and the heated calls across NRL, Super Rugby, and NBA tonight. And you already know it's not filtered commentary, it's just straight up kōrero from the crew who actually care about the codes. So if you're tuning in live or you're watching on the replay, then make sure that you join us in the comments or share this and tag this with someone who hears it. And in the next 10 seconds, I'm going to introduce my wonderful husband, Lucas, to get this show started. All right, we'll see you soon.
Welcome. Here we are with the Abj Sports Opinion. Alcan not with us tonight, but he's not feeling the best, so we'll push on without him. And we'll rip that Band-Aid off straight away with the Warriors coming crashing down. No longer in second place. Dropped one place in the ladder. The Raiders do leapfrog them on points differential. They had an opportunity to jump into first equal with the Bulldogs losing the night before. So there was a bit of pressure. It was a lot of wet weather footy, some dumb plays and bad reffing calls, and there was a bit of everything in that game. Real heated game. Joseph Tapine took a lot of things personally. The young boy on the wing had a good game, but just no professionalism when it counted. Just as a young player, a hot head. To be forgiven, just probably making the wrong choice in one particular moment. So pretty tough loss, and it's still early in the season. So, well, coming into the middle of the season, but still in a building phase and State of Origin around the corner. So we'll see what that brings. From the NRL, that's all I really took note of. I didn't really watch any of the other games properly because I wasn't interested in a lot of that league without the superstars. It's tough to watch, and a lot of it was wet. So ugly rugby league. Maybe I'm not the fan I used to be. What do you reckon about State of Origin? Oh, sorry. What are we looking at? The ladder.
Yeah.
So the Bulldogs still in the first place. They dropped a game. The Warriors dropped a game. So first and second both lost. The Raiders leapfrogged the Warriors. Everyone else pretty much stays the same in the top six because they all had buys. Who lost? The Panthers, the Sea Eagles. Where are the Dolphins sitting? Can you scroll down a bit? I'd like to see the Dolphins. So they had a really good win.
13.
Okay, they're in a bit of a scrap to make it to the people who can challenge for the 8. The Tigers are in that same scrap. The Roosters too, and they're all looking to go up towards the Broncos, Sea Eagles, and Dragons. I'm not sure if the Dragons are going to still be up around that area come the end of the season. They got a real young team, and it might take its toll. Kind of the same way that what happened to the Dolphins a few years ago. They just didn't quite have the roster, but we'll see. Did you have a question, babe?
Yeah. Moving on to the State of Origin. Has the State of Origin period messed up your NRL fantasy, or are you still playing by rounds like a pro?
Has State of Origin messed up my fantasy? It messes it up every single year without fail. This is something you have to plan for. I try and plan for it. It never works. I don't have the answer there. You never have enough trades. This is the problem. You never seem to have enough trades. These guys that are pros, not that there's a pro way to do this, but these guys that are really, really good, they seem to know when to get rid of players who are playing Origin or when to keep them. I don't know. I seem to be holding too many of them year after year. So it's a tough one.
This is what's happening.
The teams.
The teams this Wednesday.
So
game 1, Wednesday the 28th of May, 8:05 p.m.
Just looking at the settled nature of the Blues, I think that it's going to take a pretty big effort to beat that Blues team. It very much works in Queensland's favour that it's in Queensland at Suncorp, like their home. So without that, I think if this game were in Sydney, the Blues may blow them away. But with all the stuff that comes in the pre-game from the older heads and the guys that played in the 80s, they'll bring in some of these guys that played in the 80s and talk to these guys about how they played in the 80s. And it was disgusting. Like, they're talking about wanting to kill the other team because that's how they did it in the 80s. That's not how it's done anymore. It's a spectacle and it's on TV. That you can't do that anymore. But they just try and get in there and rub some of that off on these younger kids so that they instill that mate versus mate hate, and to keep this brand of football really, really authentic and raw. I don't know if it's the pinnacle, like to weigh in on the whole pinnacle debate that SJ was on. I don't think it is the pinnacle. However, I do think it's the fastest brand of rugby league that is played every single year without fail. It seems to be even faster than the grand final because there's so much pressure. So while not thinking it's the pinnacle, I do think it's the fastest style. Yeah. What do we got up next?
Is there anything else on the NRL or
Nah. State of O in 2 days' time is kind of just, we're waiting for that. Hopefully the Maroons can get up.
Okay. What's happening in the NBA?
NBA is up to conference finals. So there's 4 teams left. At the beginning of the playoffs, I picked the teams that I wanted to play against each other in the NBA finals. So I wanted the OKC Thunder against the New York Knicks, and those 2 teams are still left. So the Pacers are up against the Knicks. Knicks down 2-1. I think they won their first game today. Down 2-1. OKC Thunder are up against the Timberwolves. They're up 2-1. Game 4 tomorrow. Not quite sure where that game is. That shit matters too. Like, if you're not tuning in as a basketball fan, where they play, and they're playing a 7-game series, where they play matters every single. So they'll usually play 2 games at one home venue, then they'll switch back to the other home venue, play 2, and it'll always end up be that one gets to have 4 and one will have 3 if it goes to 7 games. But the home attendance and home crowd, all of that stuff matters huge in basketball. So 4 teams left. It's coming down to the nitty gritty. It's only one game a day now, and I'm still hoping that the Thunder and the Knicks can be in the finals against each other. Yeah.
It says here that the odds are OKC 170 and minimum 220. What does that mean in regards to those betting odds with that going up tomorrow?
So OKC are the favourites against Minnesota just in that game, in game 4. So they qualified number 1. They've got the MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's the guy. Like, he's one of those guys that runs a team by himself. So, and then he's got heaps of fucking good talent around him, which is awesome. They're all kids though. So that's the blight on OKC, is that they lack experience. And the person who runs their team, he lacks experience too, even though he's a genuine superstar. So, and then if they come up against the Knicks in the final, he comes up against one of the wiliest veterans there is in Jalen Brunson. So that would be an awesome sort of head-to-head matchup. I really like the craftiness of Brunson. Like he's nowhere near as athletic as some of these kids, but he beats them with guile and craft. Like he's a real student of his craft. Yeah, that's what I really respect about him. And that's pretty much it on the NBA. Like it's only one game at a time now. What else we got?
Well, that's pretty much it for today. I suppose. What are your predictions, like final predictions with the basketball? And then, what are your final predictions with the NRL coming up?
With the basketball, I think that OKC probably gets it done in 6 games against Minnesota. I'm not sure if the Knicks will get out against a white-hot Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers. I'd like to see them come back and sort of get it in 7 games, make the premonition come true. But I think the Pacers, they're just turning it on at the right time. That they look really good for patches of those games, even though they came back to win, from large deficits. So yeah, prediction is OKC to win the whole thing. I'd like to see that happen. Origin, I really want to see the Maroons physical through the middle. It would help if it's raining, it was a little greasy. Negate some of the out wide scoring from the Blues. Hopefully just rough them up and make it a real ugly game. That's where they could sort of ruffle their feathers. That's where they've found that Payne Haas is there's a bit of a chink in his armor, is when the bigger players from the other team really go at him. And it's happened a couple of times this year where he's been knocked over, especially by the Raiders. Their three-pronged attack straight into him. Every time he got the ball, they were hitting him low and high, and they really targeted him. So if the Maroons could do that same thing, maybe put a Ruben Cotter on him every time he gets the ball. You need to be up in his face every single time. Who knows if that would even work, but we'll see how it goes, Billy. Anyway, that's probably it for the week, and we'll come back next week and review how it went. See if the Maroons can get up. All right, thanks for coming, guys.
How every NRL team feels after round 12.
Damn! How? Hold on, bro. How? Emotional, damn it! Got him! Got him!
Shit, mind you, that's more than a game. I'm sharing food with drillers and I got them all on stage. And I'm going in and locking it down.
Come on now, dawg. Come on, man. Pow. Oh!